Boom.
Jaws D.
Yo, what's up?
What's good, homie?
I'm good. And you? How you holding up?
Yo, man,
It's getting wild out in these streets.
it's more work has just gotten hectic.
Oh, okay.
Like decisions are being made that are so quick, and you know when things change really fast,
Mm-hmm.
that you're just like, oh, okay, I guess we'll just adjust to this new path.
Okay.
We good. It's not a bad thing. It's just it's really fast sometimes. Like
Right.
and
Gotta
then
pivot.
yeah. That's that. I feel. Thank you. That's the perfect word. It's
Gotta
the
joke.
pivot. And something happened so fast at work that the pivot felt like Allen Iverson crossed over on me on a basketball court and I twisted my ankle. That's how
Oh
fast.
no.
Not not like it's not affecting my work overall.
Right.
My day to day stays the same. But it's just when changes like that happen sometimes, you're kind of just like, oh snap, okay. And
Mm-hmm.
then you just have to, adjust to it and you're fine. But it's more just the unfortunateness because you're always like, I wish it didn't have to change this way, or I wish I didn't, it didn't need to be adjusted so quickly or
You could
whatnot.
adjust to it as opposed to like you just having like, oh, okay, fine, I gotta roll over here, you know?
Yeah. And that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
So and you know how humans are, human nature. We don't like change. So
No.
as much as the change once again almost absolutely does not affect me. My day to
Right.
day stays exactly the same.
Right.
It's more the things that I was hoping to see from the things that were in place that are
Mm-hmm.
now changing. That I'm like, oh, that's okay. Hopefully, we see the changes still happen in a positive way. But
Right. Mm-hmm.
happy Black History Month, my good man.
Happy Black History Month. Also,
Uh,
happy Lunar New Year.
Oh yeah, happy yes.
And
I was gonna say happy Groundhog's Day also.
oh yeah, it's true. That was today.
Yeah, man, it's like a wild trifecta of stuff going on. Black History Month for those of you, and I think one of the things I'm really excited about is seeing all the people celebrate and also look to it as an opportunity to not celebrate just history, but a lot of people are starting to call it Black Futures Month, Black
Mm.
Present Month, because there's a lot of things happening in the Black community that are current goals and
Hmm.
and current changes that we can be proud of and happy with. And I think that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
You and I both went to Marcus Garvey Day Camp, right?
I didn't go to the kids' day camp. I went to like the leadership. So that was like
Okay.
the teenagers and up,
Yeah.
basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I just
I mean, for me, like Black History was just all day, every day.
right. That's the other thing.
You're just learning about what's going on in your parents' country. So like my family's from the Caribbean, and you're
Right.
just learning about that. And everyone's one thing I learned more recently is that whenever my family or just anybody in general, like when people are asked, "Oh, well, what's Trinidad and Tobago about?" and it's like, "All right, here we go. Here's your geography lesson. Here's your history lesson. Here's your
you
your
almost want to
humanities lesson." Bah, 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 bah.
you almost want to like plug in a matrix style cable into the back of your heads and be like, here's the upload, and just send everything them at one shot.
Yeah, and
Uh,
you just gotta hold court a little bit. So that's always the fun part about it. Just watching my cousins talk, and everyone's like, oh, "This is Wendell's cousins." Oh, okay. I'm
the
like,
family
"Yeah."
connection.
I'm like, "Yeah, they are. That's great. I love them."
And then I mean that's black, and then Groundhog's Day, the usual, which some people have been joking that every day in the pandemic has felt like Groundhog's Day. So there's that. I mean, I remember when we did one of the first episode in, I think, April, that
Okay.
we did the first year in 2020. We titled it March 32nd because it was just the fact that March had just kept going and going
Right.
and was never ending. And but I can say that I don't feel that same way anymore with the pandemic. It's more just the boringness of it all as opposed to the repetitiveness. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people. If you guys have been paying attention, this episode is happening at the time of the Freedom Convoy, quote unquote. So there's a lot of people in Ottawa right now who are, quote unquote, fighting for our freedoms as
Mhm.
Canadians to be able to, I don't know what. I think one of the things that I find funny about the Freedom Convoy is they're at Parliament the original point was for the truckers to go to Parliament to say they were unhappy about the mandatory vaccination mandates
Mm-hmm.
that they as Canadians were going to face from the Americans, which is the part
Yeah.
that, and then so I was just like, I just remember thinking like, so a group of Canadians are driving trucks across the country to go to Ottawa to be upset about mandates that Ottawa isn't putting on them.
Mm-hmm.
So I
And
just
then
thought,
the mandates are done at the provincial level.
right.
And then the Truckers Association is saying that they're not a part of this.
Yeah, yeah, that's my favorite part. Make,
Um,
Mike Million, I think is his
mhm.
name. That's the dude who just keeps saying like, "Hey, we're the Truckers Association. You know,
We don't condone it.
yeah, 75% of us are vaccinated. We don't really understand what these guys are talking about, but we respect their right to show their support for this." But and then my favorite part was just like, they really need to separate themselves from the white supremacists who are among their midst, and that was my favorite part of the
Can
whole
I
thing.
can I just say, like, for the last 5 to 10 years, it's amazing how the word like Nazis
Yo,
managed to like do this nice PR spin to white
yo,
supremacists and then to alt
alt
right.
right,
And
yeah,
then if I was a conservative that was right wing, I'd be like, no, get that out of here.
yeah,
How are you gonna just tack on to me? That is pretty messed.
yeah, dude. It's that's one of the things that I think, you know, because I remember I remember it was so Skinny posted a thing about the Freedom Convoy, and
Mhm.
you know, people are were commenting like, "Don't get distracted," or you know, "Ignore this," and I just remember thinking like, I don't understand what you mean by ignore Nazis standing outside
Parliament.
waving flags. Yeah, like I don't.
Outside of the unnamed soldiers
Yeah,
memorial.
yeah, like being told to ignore it, the destruction. I had a friend tell me this, and my friend, I love the way my friend put it. My friend told me, imagine you are John Cusack with a boombox over your head in a trench coat,
Oh,
trying to
no.
get a girl's attention,
Mhm.
and the girl comes to the window. And as you're talking to her, someone shows up also in a trench coat and flashes her and starts urinating while you're trying to talk to her. And then you, as John Cusack, says to her, ignore him. He's a distraction. Just focus on what I'm saying. And I
That's pretty accurate to
yeah,
that movie, though.
yeah.
If you ever seen that movie, it's not Say Anything, is it?
I don't remember exactly what movie it is. I just know it's been recreated so many times.
Yeah,
But
but that guy was very, very selfish. It's very, what was the other movie that he did? High Fidelity.
yes, yeah, yeah.
It was like, this guy's not a good person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's just the idea that someone's trying to tell you ignore something when something wildly insane is happening next to you.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it's funny. The people who are there for the reason of wanting more freedom because the pandemic has gotten them to a point of saying they're tired of it, I
Mhm.
actually understand. And I
Mhm.
don't think those people are wrong. But I think the fact that there were Nazis there and people waving Confederate flags and
Yeah.
people holding up Trump
People
flags
the
and
wha
like breaking into a
one
homeless
one thing that
shelter and forcing them to give them the food, and
oh my god.
this LGBTQ couple who found feces on their front steps and their window broken because they
Mhm.
have a pride flag in the window, and it's just like a bunch of stuff like that you're just like, yeesh, yo guys, this
Mhm.
is your freedom convoy
That's a
is
lot of, like, loser flags.
yeah, yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot of flags of people that lost stuff, and
Yeah,
people just keep bringing them out.
Nazi flag, Confederate flag. Y'all lost a lot. Yeah, a bunch of
I don't
losers who hold
I
on to
don't
a.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's weird to wave the flag of a losing team constantly and be like, "Yeah, so
Like
join us."
crushed soundly, like,
Yeah,
"Hey, we're bringing you before the nation of, was it the nation of, the League of Nations or
yeah,
the
United
UN or
Nations.
NATO, like, hey, you
Yeah,
got to pay these people
yeah,
and make sure their family and their family's family and their family's family is taken care of."
yeah, yeah, man. It's fascinating to me that these people just keep coming as big old losers, big ugly losers who are just like, we're still the best at losing constantly, and no one actually likes us. Weird to me, but so be it. So is the world we live in. All
Mhm.
that to say, it's been kind of a crazy couple days. Also, did you hear about what happened with Whoopi?
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear the clip?
No, I didn't get a chance to look at the clip.
Okay, I'm gonna play the exact clip of what she said to see if I'm wrong in because I'm trying to understand something. So I hopefully this plays the clip. Let me know if you can hear it. If you can't hear it, actually, no, I realize you might not be able to hear it. So I'm going to share my screen. For anyone who's listening to this later, don't worry, you're not missing anything. I'm just sharing my screen so that I can play the clip. But yeah, so Whoopi made comments on
It was on about the Holocaust.
about the Holocaust on The View, right?
Mhm.
So let's add that to the screen. All right, so let's see if I get this because I have it I had it synced up to the right point. So tell me if you can hear it properly.
To do this, then let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race. No, it's about
a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about
Well, what
race.
is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man. That's what it's about.
But it's about white supremacy. It's
Well,
about
but
going
it's
after
not
Jews
about
and
race.
gypsies and
But these are two
Roma.
white groups of people.
Well, they
How do
look
we
after black
but
people
how-
too.
see them as white
And they
people.
But you're
after
missing the
homosexuals.
point. You're
Yeah.
missing the point.
Yeah.
The minute you turn it into race, it goes down this alley. Let's talk about it for what it is. It's how people treat each other. It's a problem. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, because black, white, Jews, everybody eats each other. So if you're uncomfortable, if you hear about Mouse, should you be worried? Should your child say?
So that was the clip.
Mm.
That was the clip. That is the entire clip. Like the first part, she says it earlier. It's not about race. No one says anything at the beginning.
Mhm.
Then they have a long conversation about the pulling of To Kill a Mockingbird and Mouse from these two different schools. And then
Right.
that's the part that I just played is the exact part where she got in trouble.
I didn't even know they had Mouse in schools.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
surprised.
Well, it's funny enough. So that was part of the conversation that Mouse is in schools and that the school that pulled Mouse said they're pulling it because of the violence and the nudity. And then the conversation starts up about that's why you're pulling it, not because it has the story.
That sounds sus.
Right, exactly. So
Mad
that's
sus.
exactly. That's exactly the thing that they were saying. They were just like, this sounds like I think Joy Behar says a canard, like, it's kind of a red herring.
Red herring, yeah.
Yeah, you're misdirecting us with this whole idea that there's nudity in this book.
So the nudity of animals?
Yeah, it must be something that's drawn in the book that was so offensive that this book has been reading for education for the Holocaust. It's been I remember Mouse being used as this kind of like subtle way to try and teach the Holocaust to people, and in most cases to young adults, because it was easier to teach it to them through the idea of like mice than it would be to just write a straight up comic book and show humans being killed, right?
Yeah. It's a topic and a time that's really hard for people to relive and talk about it, because you just don't, like, Jesus,
Right. And on top of that, I think one of the reasons, and I mean, not to associate it to Disney, but I think one of the reasons that they use the mouse is because the mouse, Mickey Mouse and the House of Mouse, is one of the most iconic images and has one of the most global recognition. So if you have mice being the icon for kids for joy, using Mouse to be like this kind of spoonful of sugar to deliver this message to young people. Hey, you grew up watching Mickey Mouse, but here's another story called Mouse. And it's not affiliating, but just the idea that in your head, cute mice are something that kids can handle. So let's try giving them the story this way. And I understand what Whoopi was trying to say.
Same here.
And funny enough, the other people on her panel, one of them also said no. I do understand at the same time that the Nazis considered the Jews a completely subhuman race. Like,
Mhm.
I get that that's what they saw them as. And I don't think Whoopi was trying to say the Nazis didn't see them that way. I
Mm.
think she was just trying to say overall, though, when it comes to race and what we understand as race
Mhm.
originally, where it's like skin and not necessarily what it's been referred to now as a shared culture,
Mhm.
she was referring to the old school meaning of it and was trying to make a point, which
Yeah.
again, I've seen people get suspended for stuff on TV shows that are a lot wilder,
Mhm.
and people comparing this to what Roseanne did, where she did like a photo shoot of putting like Jewish like cookies into the
She dressed up gingerbread cookies
like
in oh my goodness, Holocaust
yeah,
thing, and she was putting
yeah,
them in the oven and stuff.
yeah,
But I know within the context of what she did, I think it was for a Jewish magazine or something like that. And the
sure.
people that did it, like they understood it. They got what she was trying to get at with it, kind of
Right,
thing.
and I understand that. It's just that unfortunately, not everyone's gonna get that message, and people
No,
are gonna get upset about
they're
it.
just gonna see the image and
Yeah,
call
like
it.
out
And
of context, the image itself is really bad. And
mm,
I feel like when people say Whoopi made derogatory comments about the Holocaust out of context, again, that's really bad. But then you actually hear what she said, and you're just like, I mean,
mhm,
I I I see that it's not. And you know what the other thing was that I was thinking? Let's say you don't agree with what she said and you
mhm.
think she's wrong. Is this not one of those moments where someone is wrong and you should give them the opportunity to be educated on the subject as
Mhm.
opposed to everyone trying to burn her to the ground and
But no,
immediately?
the state of the world at the moment. That nope, we
Yeah.
don't give you a second chance. No, we don't give you a chance to kind of understand and learn and talk with the people that survived, or even
Yeah,
go to the
yeah.
museum that's there.
And you know what's crazy? I was just watching a clip from The View from a couple days ago where they had this one of the last remaining survivors of the Holocaust and her grandson or great grandson possibly,
Mm.
and he made her TikTok famous, and he wrote a book with his grandmother. I think it's his grandmother. And
If it's his grandmother, he would be our age, roughly.
no, he's like 18. So yeah, it's probably his great grandmother,
It'd be
right?
great
Yeah,
grandmother.
yeah. So he's 18. He's Gen Z. He made his grandmother
We
TikTok
old, man.
famous. Yeah,
Just to
yeah,
let you know, and it's not that far removed.
yeah,
It's not
yeah,
that far removed.
yeah. But it was crazy. They
Mm.
just had that clip on. Whoopi was just celebrating like the story. It was International Holocaust
Yeah.
Remembrance Day of some sort. They
Mhm.
did the whole
Mhm.
clip. They were interviewing him. They spoke to him. She was honoring him and so proud, and the grandmother, and they had this wonderful conversation. And then to think that people think her mentality is so negative, or that she was out actively trying to uh disrespect the Holocaust maybe a week later, it's like
Yeah.
that seems weird to me. Again, this a lot of stuff is very quick, and a lot of things
Mhm.
get taken out of context, so it's very unfortunate. But
Walking
that's
on eggshells.
whenever comedians make those jokes about like you can't make any jokes anymore, I'm always just like, ugh, these old fogies don't know how to handle themselves in the industry anymore. But then you hear something like this where Whoopi gets canceled for making
Mhm.
per their understanding an uneducated statement,
Mhm.
and they suspend her from the show.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I remember when, I think it was Chris Rock and, um, Jerry Seinfeld said they weren't gonna do college shows anymore because of how everyone handles jokes nowadays, and you know, I remember some people were getting mad at them, like, "Oh, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Well, they're not being hurt. They don't have to do college shows.
right?
They could do stadiums. They
Yeah,
could sell
yeah,
out places. Like, I don't think college shows. I mean, I know for a lot of comedians, college shows usually it's like that's quick bucks. There's like a
yeah.
clip of what's
And
his
it
name,
pays
Pete.
them for, it covers them for a year too.
There's a clip of Pete Davidson going to a store with Complex and buying a bunch of different shoes,
Yeah.
and the bill comes and it's like 100K, right?
How Jesus.
And yeah, and he was like, "Hold on, I gotta call my agent to book a couple of college shows."
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Because it
yeah.
wasn't even complex going to buy those. Like they were gonna flip the bill on him. They're just like,
Yeah.
no, well, these are what you selected, and he's like, oh, let me just book a couple college shows and get this sorted.
But it's true. I think it was Roy Jones Jr. who was talking about the fact that he used to do those college that like college circuit, and
Mhm.
like you just do it for like a certain amount of time, and that covered you for a year,
Yeah,
like a year worth of bills, so that you were okay to keep like writing and being a comedian at night. And
Roy
I just
Jones Jr. That's the boxer, no?
is that who I'm thinking of?
That's the
Roy
boxer.
Roy Woods Jr.
Okay,
Apologies.
thank you.
Thank
I was
you.
like,
Yes. Yes. Roy Wood Jr. Apologies. Yes, thank you. Thank you for correcting
no
that.
problem.
Yeah, but he was talking about, I think he was on Whiskey Ginger with Andrew Santino. I
Okay.
actually remember the episode.
Mhm.
And yeah, they were talking about, doing the college circuit and stuff like that. And it's just like the idea that doing these tours led them to be able to continue writing and not have to worry about money as much, because they were able to like make this huge sum of money one shot for the whole tour and then
Right.
continue. And I also envy that mentality. Like, imagine you got to do your job. You got to like imagine your job was just like, okay, for 4 months out of the year, you have to work every day, 12 hours a day, hell, 18 hours a day for
Mhm.
4 months straight. But then you don't have to work for 8 months of the year,
Yeah.
technically, because again, they're still doing late night stand up and they're still working on their craft. So
Yeah.
they're still working, but in the sense that you're not working for the money and you can take your time and
Mhm.
really enjoy your craft.
But you always
I'm
want to
like,
make sure that you're good enough to do those shows. You don't want to be crummy and people
that's
don't really care to see you and stuff like that. So, like, I mean, I've heard comedians talk about like, oh, I did a college show, but there's no one there. It's a
oh
pretty,
yeah,
it's pretty brutal, and you got, or it's set up in a cafeteria on an off hour. It's not even
yeah,
lunchtime
yeah,
yet
and
or
people are
anything.
eating like, like that's I think my favorite story for what comedians is when they start talking about doing corporate events
Mm.
and being on stage while people are eating, and how much they love the money but hate doing those shows
Right.
is like, so and some comedians have been saying that for years and then still have stories of being hired after that.
Yeah.
And I feel like the people hiring you have probably not been paying attention to what you've
No.
been saying about how
No,
much you
I
hate
don't think they're
corporate.
listening to podcasts. I don't think
Yeah,
they're watching late night. They're just like, well, this is
yeah,
the new hot up and comer, or this is a guy that's been around for a while, or this guy's in our list of who we can
yeah,
hire, and
yeah.
they hit our
Demo.
budget.
Oh, that yes,
They hit our budget that we're
that's
allowed to
even more.
spend for it.
You're right. That's probably even more important that they hit the budget, not just the demographic.
Mhm.
It's sad sometimes when you think about
I
how
mean, work
little.
is work.
Yeah,
Work
but
is
it's
work.
more just the thought of like, me as someone who's booking this person
Mhm.
isn't paying attention to what this person does. I'm booking them, and then when
Yeah.
they come in and they start doing the comedy, and you hear the stories of like, the crowd didn't get it or the crowd wasn't into my vibe. They just knew I was popular,
Mhm.
and they're just like, "Hey, this guy's famous. Bring him on." And everyone around the office loves him, and then he starts doing his whole bit, and they're like, "Ooh, this
Yeah.
is
I
way more blue than the Christian organization of South Dakota expected."
Well,
Like,
I remember when Louis had his show, and there was an
oh yeah,
episode where he was talking to Seinfeld, and Seinfeld, I'm gonna go to the Hamptons to do this charity gig. Do you want to come with? And he's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll come.
yeah.
And so Louis is just a fish out of water, gets to the place. He's not in a suit at all. He's just in a blazer and he's in his jeans, and it's the Hamptons. It's like fancy. And then he goes out there and he finds out that I think the charity's for cancer. And he looks through his
Oh yeah.
notes, and the only jokes he has is about cancer.
Oh no! What? Why would that be the
and
only
then
thing you wrote
and
about?
then he bombs horribly
Of course.
and does the handoff to Jerry, and Jerry's
Oh.
like, thanks, and he goes on, and Jerry kills it. But I think Louis realizes, no, Jerry wanted somebody that's less like crappier than him to
Yeah.
stink up the whole room, and then he comes in and saves the day. And
Oh, he did it on purpose?
I think it was like a purpose.
You know, Louis really messed up as a comedian, and he did horrible things.
Mm,
But that you can't take away from the fact that his comedy show was good.
it was very good.
It was a very well written show. He was doing it all on his own. He was
He didn't. One thing I liked is that he didn't care about continuity.
no. Oh my god.
Which I thought was always hilarious. Like he talked about, no, my car has to be Infinity G whatever. My kids, they're both two little white girls, and they
Yeah.
grow, and they're. But
My
you
wife-
kind of see the wife in the first season. She looks
Yeah,
white. Like you don't see
black.
her, so you just see her hand. And in the second season, they got the woman that's in This Is Us.
Yes.
The
yes.
black wife in This Is Us
Yeah.
is his ex-wife.
Yeah.
But the girls are blonde-haired, blue-eyed.
blue. Like
and they're
Aryan,
like,
little Aryan dream children, unfortunately, and then their mother is black, and you're like, what am I watching?
and they're like, why did you do that? He's like, well, I wanted to hire a woman that could give me a look, and the look literally says you're an effing idiot, you're a fucking idiot. And she just has that. Black women just have that look. Just we have this great facial expression that's just super. You don't even need to write. It's just in the face. And there was an episode, I think I mentioned this already, where the little girl, she had a dream where she couldn't tell what was a dream and what wasn't. And so she got up and she had a night terror, and then, no, this is not a dream. Like, you're awake right now. And then they're on the subway and they're going to go see the mom. And then the little girl stayed on the subway, and he's like, no, and then they had to like rush to the other subway to come get her. And she's like, no, it's a dream. I'm okay. He's like, don't do that. What are you doing? Don't do that. And so brings her to the mom's house. And then so you're just seeing the little girl in the foreground just playing, and in the background you're seeing the parents talking and arguing, and then he constantly points at Lily, and he's like, does and then the mom looks over, and then you just see the mom look over, and she yells, Lily, and the little girl gets up and starts running. And I thought the mood of that episode, that clip, changed from normal life to a slasher movie, and the mom was the slasher chasing after the girl, and just like, she's running, and she hides underneath the bed. And again, does this still dream to you? Does this feel like a dream to you? No, it doesn't. Stop! Don't do that.
Yeah, yo, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that with his great genius, unfortunately, came someone who abused power and did such unfortunate things that you just can't have him. You can't work with him anymore. And I know some people are just like, well, can't you forgive him? And it's just like, I mean, it's not for me to forgive him. It's for the people that he did the things he did to forgive him. And if those people say, I don't really want him in the industry because him being around made me feel uncomfortable, and then people are just like, yeah, but he apologized. Just like, so, I mean, it's just like, if I had someone who had done horrible things to me come back and work in the same space as me, or I might have to cross paths with them, I would definitely be of the mind that, like, no, I do not want to have to bump into this person. And if I'm with him, if it's within my power to say this person is not allowed to come back, you're out of the club, man. That's it. I'm the doorman. I make the rules. You can never come back in. And it's your own fault. You did the thing. It's not, no one made you do the thing. That's the problem. Louis, you did the thing. No one does. Like,
Didn't that come up in Peace? Was it Peacemaker? Peace.
Oh,
what's the show?
Peacemaker. Yeah, with
Peacemaker.
Yeah.
I saw the clip. I'm like, what the heck am I? Are they going there?
That show's wild. And dude, I think one of my favorite things about Peacemaker is at the end of the show, every episode, they show you the extended version of one of the scenes where Cena was just improvising, or someone was improvising.
Wow, that's really good.
It's every episode is very well done. And every episode, that post-credit scene with the improvisation is like, I almost wish you had left this version in. I mean, it would have been like a Family Guy joke. Yeah, it would have been like a Family Guy joke where the joke goes too long to the point where you're like, come on, and then it starts to get funny again. Like the last one last week was one of the guys set up Peacemaker's dad and changed the fingerprints in the system so that Peacemaker's dad's fingerprints were at the crime scene instead of Peacemaker's. And then Peacemaker is just like, you could have put anyone else, and then starts naming like every single person. Like, what? Bill Cosby, he just got out of jail. He deserves to go back. Like, just a list of like just like things like a long list and like names of like people, and it's just like the
Oh,
Kardashians, Kanye West, Chloe, like it just starts naming them. Kendall, she's a tall one, she'll be okay. Like, and it just keeps going, and you're like, holy crap. And it's just such a beautiful scene to see
Uh-huh.
Cena. And that's one of the things. He's so comfortable comedically
Yeah.
that you're like, yeah, man, this is great. Like
I kind of want to know what his actual family dynamic is, because I know he said that when he came up with the five finger shuffle, and the
yes.
"you can't see me," it was an in joke with him and his family,
Yeah,
and he was going to do it on camera. So like it was like his little ear pull, or the
Yeah.
paint on the fingernail, like kind of like a wink to somebody
Yeah.
watching him at home.
Did you see that on how I became a meme, the BuzzFeed thing?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, so
That's
but I
pretty
think
good.
he's also mentioned it before, but I think he really got into it
Oh yeah,
on
yeah.
that.
He like
So,
specifically explains like what event he was at and stuff like that. And it's like,
well,
oh,
yeah, wrestlers have a really good memory.
I
Like
mean,
there's guys that they're in their 70s and 80s, and they boom boom boom, they could tell you, okay, this year this match I did this. Like they're still really really sharp.
yeah, yeah. Do you still watch wrestling? I haven't watched wrestling in.
I haven't kept up to date. But I'll find little clips and stuff to watch and just be like,
Yeah,
And if you like learn about the ins and outs, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of memory, and you got to hit your spots. It's like a stage show. It's definitely
Yeah.
a stage show.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you hit your spots. You got to make sure you're in the nice frame of the camera, and you got to like almost like you're filming a movie. Like with Tom Cruise, he knows framing.
right.
He knows
right.
where he's standing, how he's standing, how the light's hitting him. He knows all that in his head. I
Yeah.
think there was another clip of Leonardo DiCaprio doing Wolf of Wall Street, and they're counting down, and he's like off to the side, and his head's down, and he's like, okay, roll 3, 2, and he kind of like lifts his head a little bit, and then he shakes the person's hand underneath the camera, and he's like already rolling, like it's like he's getting ready and times it.
I like that, and I hate doing it because my buddy is a huge Tom Cruise fan, and he's only going to get happier when I say this. But one of the advantages to Tom Cruise being in the industry for as long as he's been is that he understands the filmmaking and even though he's never been a director from what I've seen, I don't know that he's directed anything. I could be wrong.
I don't think he's actively a director, but I think he's still kind of producing, kind of like, well, when you think it like collaborating with the actual director, and it's like a collaborative thing. So I'm pretty sure he's kind of, or even he's directing people in scenes. I remember Jay Moore was talking about Jerry Maguire, and Tom Cruise is not a part of the scene, but I think Jay Moore is. And then so Tom has his hands out of frame of the camera, and he's doing he's pointing at him like this, like, you move over there. And so he just kind of moves a little slightly, and he's better in the frame. So it's just like, yeah, he's even in scene, Tom Cruise can be directing you and telling you to hit your mark.
Yeah. That's wild. Yeah, you think these movies are gonna happen? They all keep his Top Gun and his Mission Impossibles.
I'm sure
keep getting pushed back.
They're getting put. I'm sure they're done, but I'm sure they want to make sure people are in theaters. I don't think they want to go through the route of putting it on streaming or something. That's what I think probably the mindset is. They want people's butts in seats. They don't want people to be watching it at home.
I guess if anything, that goes to the fact that, again, Tom has enough clout that he can be like, listen, I need to know that these are gonna, you're saying, I need to know that these are gonna be released when everyone can go see them.
Yeah,
and I don't want them to be released domestically, and or I don't want them to be released internationally when things are slack in other places, but we can't do it domestically.
Yeah.
I just
he went to go see Tenet when it came out. Like he was day one, like he's about his words, and he's about that.
I mean, I respect it, and I'm of the mind that the pandemic is ongoing, and we do still have to be careful. But I do also think we're at a point now where I would like to think people are better understanding of the things that we need. I think if anything, if the one restriction I would say is the mask mandate. Keep that and do away with a lot of the other stuff, because we can't. There's not really much we can do. Like, you can't just keep people at home forever. You can't do it for 2, 3, 4 years. Like, it's not. It doesn't really. It's not working. Like, then even when we were keeping people at home, the numbers were still climbing. And then one of the reasons the numbers weren't climbing anymore is because we stopped testing people. Like,
pretty much.
Like, people are just like, oh, the numbers are dropping. But but they stopped testing people at one point because the testing was causing delays in the hospital for other stuff. So they said, we have to stop doing the testing altogether and just let things go. And to me, it's like, so when Tom and the peeps are just like, yo, I want people to be able to go to the theater. It's like, yeah, I plan to go see, I'm planning to see the Batman on March 4th or sometime around then. And I'm planning to, Nerd Stock in June. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm, by the time these things start to get normalized, I'm hoping to do. And you can't just keep it.
Yeah, you can't stay home forever. Like,
I can't, man.
Not healthy. It's really not healthy.
And like I said, it's getting boring. Like, it's more a fact
Staying
for
at
me.
home looking at a fixed screen, just taking in the world. That's not how we're meant to be, man.
Like, I can only watch that much TV because I watch everything at 1.5. So I've burned through more things than I probably should have. And at this point, because I watch TV sped up, when I watch it at 1x, it feels slow. So I'm like, I can't go back to watching stuff at 1x just because I have nothing else to watch. This just isn't working.
I remember this comedian was talking about his grandmother, like, being so old she was ready to die and just bitter about her not dying yet. She's not dying yet, so she's super mad. So she's watching TV. It's like, oh, what you watch on TV? I've seen everything. I've seen all the things. I don't care anymore. Ugh, I'm done with this. There's no new TV. It's all the same stuff. It's just remix of whatever. I don't care. I just want to die.
Dude,
I want out.
I mean, I don't want to say that for myself, but
she's like, I just want out.
But big facts, though, when it comes to TV, it's like everything. We've told every story under the sun. We've told them all. We've seen them all. Lately I've been watching Grand Crew on NBC, which is the one that's like almost like a modern day version of Living Single / Friends archetype, where it's just like a group of friends and they hang out at a wine bar, and every episode is just them trying to live their best lives. And I'll tell people, if you guys are looking for something to check out, Grand Crew is a solid show. Black cast, great actors, Nicole Byer, Echo Kellum. I've mentioned it before, but one of the things that made me really happy is Rekha Shankar, who's one of the writers from College Humor and is also one of the writers from Dropout, wrote the last episode last week. And I think I might have even mentioned it already, but it's just watching all this stuff on College Humor and Dropout and seeing how talented she is. Hell, she got invited, unfortunately, Just for Laughs had to do the virtual one last year, I think. But she was one of the comedians to watch last year.
Oh, that's cool.
She did like a whole thing. And I've been watching her on College Humor as a head writer for years. So to see her go from doing that to Just for Laughs to writing on Grand Crew was great for me. And her episode was amazing. There's a how often can you write a black a black father and his black son having a pie fight, like a pie launching fight, and still make it emotionally interesting?
Right.
That's not a black thing to do. We don't throw pies at each other.
I wonder if that ever came up in Sanford and Son.
Oh, interesting.
I wonder if that came up in Sanford and Son.
That would be the ultimate nod too, because that's before my time at least. So I never. But okay, you giving me some homework to do. I respect it. I'm
you big dummy.
But yeah, man. I mean, I've been watching Grand Crew. I've been watching. What was the other show that I watched recently? American Auto is the other one. That's
like the new
Justin Spitzer. Yeah, exactly.
Superstore?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's new super. Yeah, it's the same people by Superstore. Yeah.
That show. That show's not as interesting to me. I'm not gonna lie.
Superstore?
No, I love Superstore.
Oh, okay.
This new show of
this new one. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you probably have to give it a season for it to kind of get its footing. That's how it usually seems with like The Office, Parks and Rec. They're just kind of, we're kind of like this other show, and then they kind of find their footing and they kind of do their own thing, and then boom, it kind of goes off of that.
Well,
So hopefully it survives long enough for that to happen.
and I think that to that point, all shows need a season.
Hmm.
Like I don't know many shows that in the first season land so hard that we all automatically assume they're going to be the best thing ever. There's some shows that we watch and they're good in their first season and we're impressed with them. But sometimes it's like, oh, well, this is just the beginning. It can only get better. When it comes to sitcoms, though, I feel like sitcoms need that time to breathe. For you to get invested in the characters, invested in their stories and the decisions that they're making. Because long form stuff, the 45-minute dramas, it's easy for me to get connected to this character that you're showing me their entire depressing life falling apart. You know what I mean? Like the Kings of Napa that I talked about last week. It's interesting. I watched the first 3 episodes. There's a reason I probably found it. I probably connected to it because it's Black characters. It's Black wealth. It's Black like excellence. But it's also just the idea of like, this is a drama. It's not comedy. Ping, ping, pow, pow. Make him laugh every 2 seconds. It's like the father of the family passes away. The family must deal with the fallout. Oh, your cousin's actually your sister. It's like, what the like?
Oh, so some dynasty stuff.
Yeah, it's very dynasty, but it's Black dynasty, and that's why I was just like, I'm into it, especially because dynasty. That's the one that's on CW now, right? Like the new version.
Yeah, I guess so.
Or Dallas, I don't know.
There's
Whatever.
There's Dallas.
Whichever one of those shows that was popular.
That was big in the 80s.
Yeah. Whatever they brought back now, they had a Black family on the show, and I was super excited for it. And then you watch it, and they got rid of like the sister from the family, and they brought in the light-skinned Black actress to play the mother to these very dark children, which is possible, but like the colorism is there because this really dark, gorgeous woman gets booted out, and then this super light-skinned woman gets brought in, and then they don't bring in any other dark-skinned people. And you just start to notice the cast is getting a little lighter and lighter, and you're just like, okay, I guess this is just what they're doing, and we're just going to all
bleach.
Yeah. And then you wonder why people are just like, you know, in the Caribbean, that whole bleaching thing that they've been doing for years, it's a whole problem. You're just like, well, maybe if you guys if you stop firing the dark-skinned people and hiring the light-skinned people every few seasons, hell, and you and I are lighter than some of the other people out there, and we still even notice it. So it's like, well, what are you going to say? One of the other good shows that I've been watching a lot, another Black great show, Abbott Elementary with Quinta Bronson. That has been on ABC. A lot of articles going around about it too, because the whole mentality is that, you know, Quinta has made sitcoms cool again. You know, my buddy and I were talking about the fact that Keenan's show only got a 10-episode order this season.
Okay.
And I said to my friend, I was just like, I think they're doing that now because at this point, I feel like they're just focusing on only making shows for their streaming services. Like putting it on the network is a bonus, but the 10-episode structure is very streaming service platform, you know? Okay. Like the Upshaws don't get a 24-episode order from Netflix. The Upshaws probably got 12 or 13 or whatever. But that's like, I feel like that's what they're leaning into. And that's, to me, is a little unfortunate when they start doing that, because you start to be able to tell that, like, yeah, you guys are focusing so much on your streamers, you're kind of taking away from what you could potentially produce for your networks. And, you know, I see some notes here from the people that are tuning into the show. Specifically, we have, there's one thing I saw about Gordon Ramsay, and I'm trying to see where it is again. Here we go. What do we have? I like Ramsay. He's got a new cooking show, Next Level Chef. Not bad.
Oh, that's pretty crazy. Yeah. So
yeah, what's the premise of that? I actually don't know about it.
So the premise, remember there was like this Netflix movie where there'd be food coming down, and then the rest of it was like a prison. That's the premise of the cooking show.
What? Okay, you gotta explain, because that movie is insane to me.
All the ingredients are on the top.
Okay.
So remember, the show is called Next Level Chef.
Okay.
So the chefs at the top get all the ingredients, and then they take with all the best. The office is going to take the best stuff that they want, and then it goes down to the next level, and then the next level of chefs have to take what's left of that, and then it goes down to the next level, and the next level chef have to take the rest of that, and then the people on the bottom have to take whatever's left. So in one of the
What?
clips, some guy's like, "What is potted meat? What is that?" And it's just like a ball of meat. And he's like, "What can I do with this?"
Oh my god. Do they at least still get a pantry with like seasoning and stuff like that?
Yeah. But I mean,
Okay.
like, I think it's like the main. So it's almost like Iron Chef, but
Yeah.
all you don't get one ingredients. Like it's like all the good stuff's here, and it goes level by level by level, and you get
Wow.
less and less and less. And it's like, well, do what you can with
Yeah.
whatever scraps you're left with.
Yo, okay. The movie we were talking about is called The Platform. It's a Spanish film.
Hmm.
If you guys want to check it out, it came out in 2019. I've watched it. It's an insane movie. And it sounds super interesting to do a cooking game show like that. Like that to me, when you
Like when I
said
saw it, I was like, oh, this is what it is. This I think pretty sure this is what it is right here.
that,
This is where they got the premise from.
nuts like that, the way that movie ends is so crazy too. So just the idea that they were like, hey, you guys want to do a cooking show like this? But Ramsey's got money and he's got connections, so
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it.
I like his, we're always used to him yelling at people and being upset and but it's just because he expects this high level of everybody around,
Yes.
specifically of the adults around him.
Yeah.
And so when he does his MasterChef Kids, he's really encouraging of the children.
Yeah.
He's not talking down to them. He's always uplifting them. He's always giving them advice and courage and being like what you should do to kids
Yeah.
that want to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I
He's
kind of like.
inspiring.
Hmm?
He's inspiring. He's a
Yeah,
leader. He's like,
I like watching him do those cooking shows instead of him just yelling at everybody. Or like I know there was another one where he'll have two restaurants that do the kind of same thing, go against each other, and then
oh,
he'll invest in one of those restaurants.
oh damn. Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah,
more
that's
of a British show that he did that I watched with my
his
fiance, and
fiance.
it was just like, oh, this is really interesting. I like this, and he's giving them props. And he's like, oh, I was over here in this country, and this is how it tastes like, and like, yeah, it's taste. And then he'll get dignitaries and other people to come for
What?
the final thing, and then people are like, this tastes like home. This is some good stuff. Tastes like, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I see a lot of people compare Ramsey to Simon Cowell, and I'm always just like, I get on the base level, they're two Brits who are yelling, but I feel like Simon Cowell would yell at children the same way he yells at adults, whereas
Yeah,
Gordon Ramsay,
but you have to remember, Simon Cowell is probably is the head of the record label, or he's he's the
yeah,
talent scout or whatever.
exactly, yeah,
So
he is
people always feel, oh, he's just being mean. It's like, no, he's telling you to not waste his time because
right, yeah,
anybody else would tell you the exact same thing.
yeah,
But you're thinking he's being mean and this and that. And it's like,
but I guess,
I
guess
got no time for this. I
yeah.
literally have no time.
I guess it's just the sense that like Ramsey is trying to instill and motivate, and even on the younger generations, he's trying to motivate. Whereas Cowell's approach sometimes, even when they're young, if he doesn't see the talent in you, it's not the idea that you could get better. It's like, I don't have the time to help you get better. Go away. Whereas with Ramsey, I kind of feel like he at least is just like, I feel like I see talent here. You might not be able to do it on my show, but like, because I even remember, like, I'm not a huge fan of the cooking shows and whatnot, but I if I'm not mistaken, I think one season he was just like, oh, you're not winning, but I want to still give you an opportunity to work work in the kitchen at one of my restaurants, even though you didn't win the show. And that, like, that to me, it's not like, because Simon's not going to turn around and be like, yeah, you could be an intern here anyways.
I think,
You know what I mean?
I think what's like, Simon has said to people like, you could be a backup singer. And yeah, that sounds harsh.
Yeah,
but guess
I get
what?
Yeah.
Guess what? Backup singers have consistent work.
True.
Backup singers don't have to, always have to be pretty and be in the face of the public eye and get scrutinized. No, you're a backup singer. You could just chill out and then you drop your own little album here and there if you want to, but
true.
You got steady work, but people take that as a negative.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm trying to remember who was a backup singer that became like a huge. I mean, it's happened a few times, but
I think Luther Vandross was a backup
is
singer.
it Luther? Okay, there's someone that I was remembering that specifically was like a backup singer and became one of like the biggest stars. And
I'm sure there's a few. I'm sure there's quite a few.
Oh, yo, okay. Speaking of, and again, anyone who's watching this right now is probably is shocked that I'm talking about reality TV because they know 99.9% of the time
What
I do
show
not.
am I on, man? What
Yeah,
show am
I
on?
don't watch reality TV, but I gotta say,
Hmm.
I watched that wild ass Steve Harvey judge show.
Which was this?
Steve
Explain.
Harvey is a show. Steve Harvey's Court, where Steve
Oh,
Harvey is a judge for some
Right.
odd reason.
I mean, it's
well,
TV. Anybody can be a judge.
I
Doesn't
know
really matter.
it's more just an arbitrator who's just like you
Yeah.
sign some wild ass contract to abide by whatever this man decides, and then he just decides some crazy ass bullshit that has no legal standing, and then you're just watching the show, watching him make fun of people.
Well,
Watching him,
remember, that's what they say at the end of People's Court, Judge Judy,
Yeah.
Judge Joe Brown, Divorce Court.
All of
They're
that,
just arbitrators. They're not. I mean,
I
they're
know.
just arbitrators. That's it. Like that's the.
I get it, but at the same time, the decorum of someone who is doing the judge thing and what Steve is doing, dude. At one point,
Steve is being Steve.
Steve is being Steve on Family Feud level. Steve, like Steve is walking off the bench.
Well, yeah, because he's not a judge.
I know.
This is not a courthouse. He doesn't have the what
But
rules? Really? Come on.
Jaws, how are you gonna be the judge, quote unquote, and walk up next to one of the defendants and be like, "You are the stupidest man I've ever met. I need to take a picture with you for evidence of I have a picture with the stupidest man I ever met," and laughing in the man's face.
Yeah.
It's wild. Like,
Remember, everyone on that show signs a waiver.
I know,
They signed up for that.
I know. It's funny as hell.
Exactly. You're watching it. If Steve Harvey
exactly.
couldn't do any of that, would you be watching it?
No, it's true. If Steve Harvey was doing
Steve
just
Harvey's too reserved in this show. I want more Steve.
like if Steve
Which
Harvey
Steve show?
this is Steve Harvey's doing a court show. And
Yeah.
yes, if Steve Harvey was doing a straight up court show, granted, I would probably be bored as fuck watching it.
Mm.
At
So
the
it's
same
like
time, though,
it's like so it's basically like People's Court, Divorce Court,
That's-
etc., etc.
I
Like
can't
Judge
even put it
Judy.
on that level because again, the man gets off the bench and is dancing around, walking up to people, talking like he doesn't even send his bailiff to get stuff sometimes. Like he goes
Wait.
over and gets like
Is he actually a real judge though for actual
No,
court cases?
no.
No. So remember
Okay.
all those again, like I told,
All
like I
those
just told
big
Doc,
shows,
all
yeah.
those shows,
I mean, I
they're
knew
just
that.
arbitrating.
Yeah,
It's
I
not-
knew that.
It's not
Oh.
a real court. It's just arbitration and blah blah blah. And then you get to
Okay.
film it, and you get you don't have to pay court costs.
Exactly.
So then this is just like the
But you're abiding by what is decided. So
This
when-
is like the Springer of courthouses then.
I mean, but that would be like seeing like all those shows are the Springer of courthouses because it's all
The two
Like,
people
he's
aren't
not-
fighting each other though.
yeah. He's not going the level of Springer where he's hoping that someone or the level of Maury, but he is going the level of getting off the bench and making fun of people to their face as he stands next to them. At one point, this woman was giving testimony. And in her testimony, when he asked her a question, she made side eye to the girl next to her as she answered the question. And Steve got off the bench, stood next to her, asked them to put the replay, made them replay, and then hold. And he's just like, "You see the little eye you gave me there?" And he started making fun of her, being like, "You've done messed up." And it's like, how you the judge?
messed up?
How are you the judge being that biased, being like you're gonna point out to the person like, "Look, this is where you met. This is where I decided to go for this person." You know what I mean? Like, this is a moment where I stopped believing you right here. There you go. This is where you lost the case. That's the crazy part to me. But I mean, if you're
we didn't get Steve Harvey for New Year's, so I guess this is the next best thing.
Man, have you
I
guys
always
been-
want to see what kind of crazy costume he's
Well, I was-
wearing for
I
New
was just gonna
Year's.
say, have you been seeing all the memes of like Steve Harvey's out here trying to be a Gotham City villain? And it's just
No,
What?
no. The meme
Those
is
ones are
always him being the next like villain for either Marvel or for DC. So one of them is like someone superimposed a Magneto helmet, and he's like, "Charles,
oh yeah. that
Charles,
one's good too.
Charles."
I like the one where he had like a purple suit with like something green and they're just like Joker. There's
There's
another
another one
one.
where he's just all in green, and then
Yes.
they put
Green
Dr. Octopus arms on him.
Oh yes, yes.
No way, really?
Yeah.
So he's
dope.
always got some weird, crazy like outfit on, and then just people just add on to it.
I mean, Steve is just the gift that keeps on giving. Also, when he gives relationship advice, I feel like there should be a banner underneath him that says, "This man knows nothing about relationships. Multiple divorces. Don't listen." Because it's just like, because he even says himself, like, he like talks about the fact that he doesn't know anything about relationships, but also is convinced that he should be giving all the advice on relationships.
Yeah, what was it? Act Like a Woman, Think Like a Man. That book.
Yeah,
that became 2 movies.
He's a character.
Very entertaining movies, by the way.
Yeah, the movies are great. It's just so funny. It's watching him be himself, and I kind of do miss him as a host of Family. Is he still doing Family Feud?
Yeah, that's his production company. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure that's him right now.
Because I haven't seen it in a minute, so I wasn't sure.
Because I know I don't think they can do it right now because of COVID, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, they have a full courthouse. Like there's a full audience in his courthouse. So
maybe it's in LA or something. So
yeah,
they're all vaccinated.
Confuses me where the rules lie in this industry, because you have one city is just like, oh well, COVID restrictions can't allow us to produce this, and then you have another show where it's like 40
another
people.
state.
Yeah. Like battle of the bots, the robot fights.
Yeah,
it's in BattleBots. Sorry, is in Las Vegas this season. It's packed stadium, packed.
Nevada.
It is crazy how many people are in there, and I'm just like, good God!
All the people that kind of left California, they went to either Nevada, they went to Texas.
Yeah,
I
could see it.
That's where they went. Florida.
Yeah.
Just kind of scurried to other places where the taxes are lower, but whatever. Well, no, I don't think Nevada's that bad, but I mean, with Texas and Florida, I think their weather can be like really extreme.
Yeah.
So,
God damn.
Be safe. Please be safe.
Yeah. We didn't talk about it, but since we did bring up DC villains, and we were joking about it, I feel like we should talk DC for a second. I haven't watched it, so I can't comment on it, but I can say I'm disappointed. I'm hearing that Superman and Lois on CW brought Bizarro.
Oh wow.
I didn't see it, but I heard about it as well. And I don't know. You guys watch that show, or sorry, is it you or is it? I do watch the show.
I know Toby watches it more than me. I do watch the show.
The thing
I just think I'm tired of DC doing the same characters over and over. So even even though the first season seemed promising, now that I'm on the second season and I know they're going to start repeating the same villains that they've been repeating forever, I'm just already getting bored. I'm like, oh, you're bringing Bizarro. It's like,
but Bizarro done in real has not been done.
Not to my knowledge.
No.
The closest you could say for Bizarro would be that Superman 4, which is that horrible one where the guy acted. The guy acted so bad that Gene Hackman
redid the voiceover.
Yeah.
No, for me, it's not a matter of. Again, I guess, like I said, I read the comics. So Bizarro was in the comics for a good long time, to the point where even Bizarro had his own arc, and then even ended up in your comic. They've used the character, and so Bizarro as a character to me has been around for a while, and I kind of feel like the shows have the opportunity to create new and interesting characters. Harley Quinn is a product of them creating a new character for a different platform.
Yeah.
Do that. Try risking something instead of using these same villains that are already in the comic book, because guess what, guys? People aren't buying the comic books. So give them something so interesting that they're like, oh, what's in the comic? And then translate those characters into the comic book, because it worked well for Harley. Look how fucking well her sales are.
But question for this show, has it always legit only been characters from the comic books that he's fought? They've never had anybody?
They introduced that he has a brother last season.
Who was evil, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Always evil.
Because you're just he introduced the brother. I'm like,
But
that's
the brother
family.
is
That's not necessarily per se evil.
the brother essentially was Lex Luthor with Kryptonian powers.
Oh, okay.
He was a businessman.
So it's like
He-
another Jor-El. Or sorry,
Zod.
Zod. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I was mixing up my names.
Exactly. He felt, and that's the thing. He felt like Zod done with Lex Luthor. And that's what was born. You know, the only thing that's been interesting so far is they've introduced a storyline where the U.S. government has learned how to recreate superpowers and made their own Superman team. And something is happening with Superman where he keeps having like not seizures, but he keeps having these fits where he can't really focus and he ends up like on the ground. And then the last episode I watched, those kids that, well, they're not kids, young adults. One of them's a kid, but that super team that wears his crest, they have Superman S's. The American Superman team ended up saving Superman and beating the bad guy. And that to me was a little bit interesting. But even then, I think it's more just I'm burnt out on the same characters being done over and over. I'm 38, and for my entire life, there's always been a version of Superman. Like either there was a movie, or when I was a kid, there was a Superboy show on NBC. Then there was Superman. There was Lois and Clark: The Adventures of Superman.
Yeah.
Then there was they also had the Superman movie. Then they had Smallville. Then they had another Superman movie. Then they had another Superman movie.
You're just talking about all live action stuff specifically.
All the live action Superman movies. I'll never complain about the Superman cartoon. Anything that Tim did, I'm not going to complain about because those felt like very different, unique stories that never. They were cartoons.
The first season of Superman animated series was actually a superb season.
Yeah, I'm never going to fault the Bruce Timm stuff, because that felt like a very different thing. But when it comes to the live action stuff, because the Bruce Timm thing feels like I'm just watching animated versions of the comic book drawn a specific way, and they're just done very well. And and the crossovers are so much fun, and they feel so organic. Whereas like Batman versus Superman in that movie felt like the least organic thing I've ever seen. Bruce Wayne is obsessed with the evil that is Superman, and like stuff like that. So for me, it's just the idea that. Like I think you know what, and people are probably going to be annoyed to hear me say this. Fold the CW, man. I know that it's falling.
No,
apart
I'm not against it.
Fold it.
I like certain shows, or I have liked certain shows. I actually haven't watched Flash at all this season. Usually I'm on that, and I'm like,
no clue what's
I
going
haven't
on.
watched. I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard like. But Superman, I want to get back to Superman and Lois for one question. For a quick question, have they ever tried Lobo on the show? Considering that there was a Lobo on another show with
Lobo on Kryptonian.
Yeah, have they ever did that on? Has he appeared on Superman and Lois? Because Superman and Lois is what, 2 or 3 seasons?
2 seasons. The big difference on Superman and Lois is just that he has a son. The son has superpowers.
But like, who are the name me some villains that he's interacted with so far, like that I would know of, like a comic.
Dude, they spent the whole season with the Lex Luthor brother last season. That's not a new character. That's just Zod blended with Lex Luthor. They just slapped another name, but it's exactly. He was a corporate America guy who was going in, taking advantage of Smallville, was buying a property. They didn't understand why. And then the flip side of the story is, he's a Kryptonian, and there's a special type of kryptonite underground that he can use to meld Kryptonian crystals that have people's personalities into human hosts. And he was like merging Kryptonian minds into human hosts so that they would become Kryptonians. So it literally felt like I was watching a Zod Lex Luthor hybrid character do a Zod Lex Luthor story.
But so you're telling me the whole season Superman never fought like
another
Tallow, Parasite, nothing. What was he? How did they show his powers then? What did he show? Like, he's
constantly fighting these random super beings that are being made by his brother, who's also
okay. So like when he puts it into a spirit of a Kryptonian into a human, that creates a bad guy for the episode.
It creates Kryptonian,
and then it's the power of the weak, right?
No, but I mean they just have Kryptonian powers. He fought one guy who he fought one guy that you didn't know at first what his power was. So he just seemed like he was a super, like a meta, but ultimately you found out that he was one of the test subjects. Then you find out, then his son ends up having power. You know what the problem is with Superman and Lois is? And I'm sorry that I say problem, but it really does feel like it is. It's the CW format where they want to have young viewers. So the show focuses a lot on like also the teenagers. Like, here's his son because he has the 2 teenage sons.
So they
And
waste time and they don't give any. So the problem here is that, in example, when you had Lois and Clark back in the day, they fought bad guys on a weekly basis, like actual bad guys, regardless if you made up most of them, but they did have someone.
I'll explain to you this way. This show has huge segments where the story is about Lois and Clark arguing about parenting.
Oh God.
Well,
Like-
I mean, what's the name of the show again?
Lois and
not Lois and Clark on the ranch, like
Yeah.
you know, Lois and
I
Clark,
I
like
get,
the
I get
comic
what Jaws
book.
D is saying, though. I understand what Jaws D is saying. It's just that
You want Superman the comic, but you're getting the Adventures of Lois Lane, the
mother.
female, the you know
Yeah.
the stereotypical female comic.
I want the adventures of her out in the streets.
Yeah,
in that news.
I don't want to watch Lois Lane be mad at Clark Kent because Lois walked into the house and found her teenage son making out with his girlfriend. I have no interest in watching that version of Superman where Lois is mad at Clark for leaving, and Clark's like, I left because a submarine was like, how do you even have these conversations? Lois, you can't be mad at Clark for leaving to save human lives. You knew who you were fucking when you had these kids. Like, how are you gonna be mad at the man now? You can't leave him alone in the house. He's a teenager. Meanwhile, Clark's just like, are you really dude? The thing that really pissed me off was Lois used that emergency thing they have, like in the comic book. You know how she has that alert to tell Superman, like, there's an emergency, come home, like or it's come and save me. There's an actual emergency.
Yeah.
She used that to yell at him about the fact that his son was found in bed with a girl, and Clark is just like, is that why you use the alert? It's for emergencies, and she's getting mad at him, and you're like, yo. Like,
I think this sounds like a writer's working through some stuff at home. That's what it sounds like.
This sounds like if there's like a Lois episode, it's going to end up you guys watching them having a Friday night at home of them watching TV. You know what I mean?
Dude,
It sounds like a really boring segment.
Dude, that's
not why I'm buying a comic book or watching a TV show, though.
There's episodes where you watch the show and it feels like you're watching all the stuff that Clark did in between the panels of saving people in the comic. Like, Clark is a football coach with the kids, and his kids are having a rough time. And one of his son's girlfriends cheated on him at her camp with another girl. And then the alternate reality daughter of John Henry Irons and Lois, who's Tasha in the comic book, she ends up being Natasha, whatever. She's there, and he's there now because they get brought over. And Lois, and it's the story of like her going to school and her being sad because her universe is destroyed, and she saw her best friend in school, and her best friend looked right through her. It's not your best friend, bitch. Your universe is dead. What is wrong with you?
This is another person.
This is a completely different person, but she has her face and her name. You knew that when you got here. Your dad, dude. Honestly, the beginning of that episode literally starts with the dad being like, "Listen. When you go into the school, you're going to see the faces of people that you knew. They're going to look right through you. They do not know you. You did not exist in this universe. Are you okay?" She's like, yeah, I'm okay, Dad. So then the dad's like, okay, I'll meet you at the end of the day after school. Dad's there. She doesn't show up. Shows up hours later. The dad's like, where were you? She's like, I left school. I saw my best friend and she looked right through me. And it's like, bitch, he told you this before you went.
But to be fair, when you're that young,
I know.
and you're like, I understand, and then it happens in front of you, and you're just like,
But I think the moral of what Brian's point was to say, though, is that when I'm tuning in to watch Superman and Lois, I'm there to see the adventures of Superman and Lois, not the
No, it's a
I-
shell game. I tricked you.
I-
Shell game tricked you.
You know,
Yeah,
that's
I'm not
exactly
tuning
it.
into the show to watch Natasha cry because her best friend doesn't
Like
recognize her.
Brian has legitimately talked me out of giving the show ever a chance. This episode.
But like, you know what really sucks though? Because I think the magic of the quote unquote magic of Smallville was you could do the high school stuff because Clark was a teenager.
Mm.
Yeah, but that makes sense because that's his actual life. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
But if
that
you
has
were
a
gonna-
direct impact on him.
yeah, but I feel like what they should have done with this show is don't even make it Superman and Lois. Just make it
Superboy.
yeah, make it the story of like call it
Jonathan. Boom.
or call it Jonathan, which is a great title actually, that's fair. Or call it Superman Next Generation or Superman or you know what? I take it back. Merc with a mount. Jonathan is the perfect title. Honestly, they could have just
Jonathan
called the show
Clark?
Jonathan. Like Jonathan.
Oh, sorry,
Kent.
Jonathan
Yeah.
Kent. Sorry,
You
Jonathan.
could have
Kent.
called it Jonathan Kent or something like that. And then the show is focused on, then I know when I'm watching the show. Oh,
Or
the
the Kents. Or something like that.
yeah, or something like that.
Mm.
But watching like Superman and Lois and then thinking I'm going to see the actor who played Superman in all the crossovers be Superman, and instead I'm watching him be a coach on a football field.
So it's not Superman and Lois, it's Clark and Lois.
It feels like nobody in Lois right now because Clark is not doing shit. Like Lois is like invested in the journal, like she like helped buy the newspaper or helped like support the newspaper in the city. And she's like doing that, and I don't know.
Hey, writers, this episode has too much Superman in it.
Yeah.
That budget's getting really big for this episode. You already blew it out for the last few.
Yeah.
All those superpowers and meta
Yeah,
powers.
that's how it feels sometimes.
Make with the yelly yelly.
No, dude, honestly, Jaws, you're not wrong. The vibe you get sometimes when you watch this stuff is just like, okay, we got to cut back. So let's put it's 40. We have 40 minutes, 38 minutes this week. Okay, let's do 20 minutes of no powers whatsoever. We'll do another 10 minutes of Superman in the suit, but not doing anything. And then we'll put like 8 minutes or so of like a little run here, some blurry shots here. And then that's it. We'll call it a day. And then you're
You've
watching
seen
the
the bones of the show.
dude. Same thing
They're
with
also
Naomi.
saving on that seat. You want to know why? That's because they
Oh,
spent all that money on Stargirl CGI.
Yeah.
All her CGI took away all the CGI money of that show.
Well, we joke about that, but she ends up having what looks like the best show of all of them.
I honestly I watched the
Eclipse
what is
season?
yeah, I watched it. It was really not that bad. It was actually pretty
know.
good.
The
I
shade,
never yeah, it was well done.
the way his power is depicted is so good.
It was very,
Um,
very, very well done.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you have Naomi, whose power on her new show on the CW is often depicted as just wind. Like it's just like, I don't know if they're just not showing us her full power yet, but in the last episode, every time they're like showing her power, it's like, look at her ability to control a wind tunnel around her. And I'm like, how about y'all show me Naomi do some fucking shit for real? Why is she just standing in a wind tunnel here? But yeah,
No,
also-
CW is like down the toilet, man. Like I can't even bring myself to like I loved the Flash the first couple of seasons.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it was the first show that was like, oh, you're better than Arrow seasons 2 and 3 because Arrow seasons 2 and 3 like set the bar
yeah,
because then it went
Mhm.
off like it went off like pretty hard after that. But the Flash had a consistency of like doing a good job of being at roughly that level, and then at some point in time, it was just like it was a combination of like not creating new types of stories, and like you're just going over the most wonkiest, no reason story arcs. Like, why am I finding your daughter from the future, which I don't even remember happening, but sure, maybe that happens in the comic books. I don't know.
yeah.
But I'm like, that doesn't happen. And like, then when you're replacing characters and blatantly telling the audience, we're getting rid of this character because this actor is no longer working for us. But then there's this character who's legit the exact same carbon copy of that character.
Are you talking about
except for
Impulse?
that? Yeah, except for this guy,
Yeah.
he had powers and he was Spanish. And this guy, so far, he's just really smart. But we don't know. Maybe he'll get superpowers one day.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the guy behind the desk.
The
Like
guy who had the
Vibes
glasses
Cisco?
and whatnot. Yeah,
Not
the guy who
Cisco.
replaced the Cisco. The guy who replaced Cisco on the show
is
Oh,
another
wow.
is a black guy now.
character is a black guy now. And they had an episode where they both went back in time at one point, and you legit got to fully observe how these two are the exact same character.
Oh boy.
Because if you watch Cisco and know Cisco, this is a Cisco episode, but it's like Cisco's being like the smart Barry, just no powers, and this guy is like living the Cisco life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the exact same reactions. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's one of the
Okay.
things. That's one of the things that got lazy on TV shows. It's like if an actor decides they're going to bounce, don't try and replace them with the exact same character. Develop a new character who has their own personality.
Mm.
That's, to me, is one of the problems of what they're doing with TV right now. But hey, quality over quantity. One of the reasons that I think like Apple TV, for example, is making interesting new shows. They have this new show called The After Party. It's Sam Richardson, Tiffany Haddish. Who's the girl from Two Broke Girls?
Alana? Darcy? Or the
No,
other
Alana.
one?
Alana from Two Broke Girls.
I forgot her name.
Who's the other one? Not Alana. Oh shit.
Kat Dennings.
No, Kate
sorry.
Dennings is.
You guys are right. I'm talking about the wrong show. I was talking about a different show. What's the other one? Broad City. Broad City.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was
Broad City's amazing.
Sorry. I was
That's a
thinking
completely
of
different
Wait,
show.
are we talking about Broad City?
mean,
Is that the girl you're
two-
talking about?
two
on
girls
Broad City?
in New York. That was more why I mixed up the name.
Yeah, but one's on
okay.
ABC, one's on CBS, and the other one clearly isn't. And has
Yeah, I know. Because it's the idea that's just like, here are two women living that are best friends living in New York.
Right.
And I defaulted to Two Broke Girls. It's Broad City that I was thinking of, and it's not Ilana. It's the other one. I think it's Ilana. But
The
anyways,
girl. Okay.
The After Party, solid cast. If you're looking for a show that focuses more on getting a good cast together and telling kind of a ridiculous story, and one of the things I like about it is you're getting someone dies on the show. And you're getting Tiffany Haddish is a detective, and she's having everyone tell her their version of what happened that night. And every person is telling. And when she told them that, she's just like, "I want you to tell me your mind movie." So some of them are really depicting
Mind movie.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But she's having like some of them tell their mind movies in their style. So you have like when Ben Schwartz goes up, his mind movie is like a musical. So all of a sudden, he's singing, there's backup dancers and everything else. When Sam Richardson tells his version of the story, it's a rom-com. So there's like the meet cute, there's like all the tropes. One of the girls there is like one of the girls is really into like French film and like
French New Wave or something
yeah,
like
French
that.
New Wave cinema. So her version is just like black and white, like really weird, like desaturated imagery that like doesn't really make sense. And you're like,
She's holding the cigarette like this. or
yeah, exactly.
something.
She does. She full on holds the cigarette. She's talking. She's just like, the human experience is a disaster. And then Tiffany Haddish is like, I don't know what's going on over there. But so it's just moments like that I was like, oh, this is fun because I know every episode is going to be a really different
genre.
Ike Barinholtz's version was an action movie. It was like Barinholtz's version was possibly the best because he's 100% doing Fast and Furious. He says family. He says family 15 times in his episode, and it's so well done that I was just like, man, this is like, it's so good. Barinholtz,
That is scary. That
Dude.
means like the next generation, their like action movie is Fast and the Furious. So our generation is like the 80s action movie. And we're trying
Yeah.
to kind of relive that
Arnold,
and retell that
yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. And then theirs is going to be like, family.
Yeah.
Doing ridiculous stunts off
And
of big buildings.
And you're right. And that's one of the things that's fun about this show, because you're seeing what this generation's writing room sees as Hollywood tropes.
Mm.
And that's what was cool about it. Because, you know, you're right. If someone from our generation had done it, they would have probably done Rambo or something,
Mhm.
as opposed to doing the Fast and Furious. But Barinholtz Fast and Furious was great. Like, he has his daughter in the car as he's doing like full on Fast and Furious, like drifts down the road, and the girls in the backseat like, yeah, and you're like, oh my god. And Tiffany Haddish is just like, that is extremely dangerous. Why did you have a child? She's like, no, she loves it. And you're like, what are you talking about? You almost killed your kid. Like, it's good.
That's awesome.
That's a show that I would highly recommend to people if you're looking for a show.
After Party.
The After
Yeah,
Party.
right.
Yeah, Tiffany
One-
Haddish, Sam Richardson, Zoe Chow, Ike Barinholtz, Ben Schwartz, Ilana Glazer, Dave Franco
On Apple Plus.
Right.
on Apple Plus. Yeah,
Hmm.
Apple TV.
More
Plus.
plug.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry,
dude-
Apple TV. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
My
that
bad.
one of the things I've been saying, it really comes down to quality over quantity,
Right.
and that's what like HBO and all those guys used to do before advertising became a big factor. You know,
One thing I would say that I watched recently that was really, I thought, quality over quantity was I saw the house across the street from the girl in the window.
Oh, what is that
Okay.
about?
Okay,
wait,
so
hold on, Dave. I'm gonna just say this. I watched the first episode and the last episode because I hated the first episode so much. I was like, I'm not watching this full show.
I enjoyed it. I'm gonna
Okay.
say I full on enjoyed it.
Okay.
Brian
So I don't
watched
care.
it
You
so
could have different. You
fast.
could have.
He
you
watched
could-
the first episode and the
Yeah.
last episode.
All I
I-
did was
I-
watch the first episode and last episode both at 1.5
But
speed.
this is perfect because the funny thing is I was gonna start this conversation by saying I think this is cue to maybe an average viewer, not someone who over analyzes. So people such as Brian and or my buddy Mike from Squared Idea would hate this show,
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
like right off the
first thing-
bat.
Did you know it was a satire?
I didn't know anything about. I don't know
assumed-
anything
I
about
ass-
this show.
I
I didn't
assumed
know-
it was just by the name of it and then how it looked. It looked like it was like
Right.
Gone Girl mixed with the woman,
Yeah. Okay, I
like
should
yeah,
have
Gone
assumed.
Train. It like it looked like it. Looked
Because I didn't
yummy.
assume it was a satire. So when I watched it, I was just like, this isn't like I watched it, I was like, this seems really silly. And then I was like,
No,
this has to be satirical.
I thought it got interesting because to be honest, it's a show. Well, okay, do you guys mind me spoiling at all?
Well, explain
I
the
know
show
the end,
first,
so-
and
Oh,
then
okay, well, well, yeah, for you, but
What's the
so
premise
ba-
of the show?
The premise is basically there's a girl who's clearly going through a depression because she lost her daughter. You don't know the details of it at first. When you find out the details of it, although it's gruesome, I do have a bone to pick with it because I'm like, I don't think that should have happened, but that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
In the sense, like the probabilities of that happening
Okay.
is
Okay.
more like someone else is an idiot.
Yeah.
Anyways, this girl feels
Responsible.
bad about it. She kind of
Yeah.
puts a bit of the blame on herself, and she's now like living in her house. Her husband has left her. She's going through a depression. She's drinking alcohol and mixing pills. So there's an element of
yeah,
like
heavily.
you're wondering whether or not many times what you're watching is it real. And they start the show, the first episode, by acknowledging that like she sees stuff.
Mm.
They make it very blatant, and I'm like, okay, because my girlfriend was watching it, it sucked me in, type
Yeah.
thing, and I binged watched it in that day. And at the end of the day, I won't lie, I really like Kristen Bell as an actress, so that
Love her.
might be a bias. So
Yeah.
her acting was great, and as the show was going on, like. And it's funny because Brian knows the ending, so I'll be able to like say certain things, and you could maybe agree with me on Brian. Like, there were so many things that happened that, like, oh, it could be this, and then like you would think, okay, well, I think it's going to be this,
Yeah.
and then something happens in the show later on that you're like, okay, so it obviously can't be this, but because this happened, it's obviously this, and you're kind of like kept on having scenarios that you could
It
have
keeps-
a good guessing game.
It keeps redirecting you.
Exactly, like
Because
a
even in
bunch
the
of-
last episode that I watched, even in the like the first few minutes, I was just like, I don't know what's happening, but you've made me assume that this person did this. Like you've changed who it is 4 times already.
Oh, dude, they changed it enough times, but every time they changed it, it made sense what was going
Yeah.
on. There was like, agreed, this girl was going through stuff. So at some point in time, you're like, this is not a good idea. Why are you doing this? Like, this is stupid. And it's because this girl is slightly crazy. Because at one point in time, I was questioning whether or not this girl, and this will be the only spoiler, so don't listen to this, anyone who's caring, but I thought for a second like maybe she is in a mental institution. Maybe this is all made up.
I could see that. Yeah, I thought that too.
Like because like there was just certain times where like, come on, like this
Yeah,
doesn't make any
yeah, yeah.
sense. That you're doing this and not getting caught and getting more reprimanded and stuff. But when it ultimately happens, what it was like, who did whatever it is, because there is a murder story involved and there's a big
There's
questions
people who
around
died.
it.
Yeah,
There's people. Yeah, but at first there's like a question about whether or not someone even died to begin with, right? And this one girl who everyone thinks is crazy, he's like, no, someone died. Or like, there's no traces of this. And there's always like a weird thing leading to like, yes, someone did die, and then who was it, and et cetera, et cetera. But who you find out does it in the end, I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like
As
I was like,
someone-
that is like wild. I'm like,
Again,
I did not see that coming. I hope that
Yeah.
I'm not the only person who did not see that coming. Like
as someone
wild.
who didn't watch the show, it was even more shocking to me.
Yeah, okay,
Like,
good. I'm not
'cause
alone.
I'm like watching the show and I'm like, I watched the first episode. I'm like, okay. And then I watched the last episode and I was like, yo, I don't know what's going on, but this is one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, we won't spoil it, but
No.
if you realize that the show is a satire, you will probably enjoy it more. As someone who didn't know that it was supposed to be satirical, I thought this shit was for real, and I was like, this is some weird ass writing.
What do you mean by satirical though in this sense? I'm not.
Well, okay, for example, in the last episode at the end, when she's standing outside in the rain and starts spinning,
Okay.
Like, that's
I get what you're
satirical
saying. now.
television.
Okay.
you don't stand
That's what was
outside in
throwing
the
you
rain
off. Okay, now I get
and
what you're
start
saying. Yeah.
spinning in the rain, looking up like, oh, it's like, calm
It's-
down, Little Mermaid.
That's
Yes,
why
she's-
I thought she was in an insane asylum, though.
Yes,
It's
yeah,
because of
yeah.
that it added to
Stuff like
like
that,
I think
yeah.
it's the type of filming that they did to make you think like there could have been many options, not just like necessarily what you saw
Yeah.
in front of you.
That's right.
Mm.
So I think that's why they did it that way. But like overall, I was like, this was like I watched it in a day. I've not binge watched an 8-episode anything.
Oh wow, you watched it all straight.
I watched it all straight.
Respect,
My
okay.
girlfriend
Crazy.
started watching it. It was more like in the background.
Yeah,
I eventually got led to the couch. Then I was like,
yeah,
that ended that episode like, no. Like, what like,
yeah.
no,
next
that
one.
doesn't make any sense. And then
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the thing.
yeah.
The hooks between episodes, you're like, all right, like,
Yeah,
do we have
yeah.
the time? And then at one point, I'm like, yeah, we're halfway through. I'm not
Yeah,
leaving. I'm not leaving. It's only
I
8
like-
episodes. I'm
I
not
like
leaving.
a good binge race. You know me. Again, I watch TV sped up, and binge
Oh
racing
my God.
content is hilarious to me. I know we got to go into geek news and rumors real quick, but I'll give you guys a list of the stuff that I've been watching recently because I have it in front of me. The Legend of Vox Machina, which is Critical Role's animated version of their story, is available on Prime right now.
Oh, that's what that is. Okay.
Yeah, The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window, I think is the title.
That's the name of it. That
That's
was just
also on Netflix. You guys can check that out. In From the Cold is this kind of spy noir type story where a girl gets reactivated after she's been retired for a couple years because her like something's coming back from her past to mess with her. Action series type thing. It's on Netflix. It looks super interesting if people are looking for something. I mentioned The After Party.
Mm.
Astrid and Lily Save the World. This is supposed to be some sort of sci-fi channel version of a Buffy type show.
Mhm.
I didn't love it, so I'm not going to recommend it. But if you did like Buffy, you might want to maybe give it a try because you might find it interesting. And then I think that's everything I've been watching recently. Oh, the new Resident Alien season 2 started on Sci-Fi. The Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee Pam and Tommy series
Mm.
is now
How is that?
on Hulu. I didn't watch it.
Oh,
I just know I'm just naming stuff that I know people have been talking about in the industry a lot.
Right.
Snowpiercer is back, and then last but not least, if you guys are fans of superhero stuff, sorry, I'll say Euphoria, second to last.
Oh,
And if you guys are fans of superhero stuff, people have been talking about Raising Dion. The original short was made. It got picked up by Michael B. Jordan's production company, got turned into a series on Netflix. The second season is out.
Mm.
If you're looking for something superhero related that is
not
different,
DC or more
exactly.
indie,
Yeah.
indie
Yeah.
kind of style.
yeah. Netflix put some money behind this one because Lord knows that when it came to that other show, what was the superhero show that I shot on so bad, Dave? The one where I kept saying The
Brian, that's a very vague term. considering-
What Lois and Lois and
Lois and
Superman?
Clark.
That's the one you're talking about.
Anything CW related? Um,
Oh boy.
Oh, I can't remember now.
I'll just say one show that I watched, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
Inside Job
Oh,
on Netflix. Actually, really good.
oh yes,
Netflix
Bobby
one.
Lee. Bobby Lee does the voice of the doctor on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good cast. Yeah,
Very
yeah.
good show. It's very funny.
Yes, it is.
Talking about the deep state and any
Yes.
of your conspiracy theories actually happen, and this is the company that runs it,
Yeah.
Cognito Inc. If you take the ink and you put it in the front, incognito.
Yeah, it's
oh my gosh.
Like
Christian
Dr.
Slater.
Acula.
Christian Slater plays the dad.
The
who
dad,
got-
yeah.
Yeah.
This
Very
is
good
a
show.
live action or an animated?
No, it's
Animated.
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 So they could do all the crazy stuff. Oh, Ron Funches plays the Mothman.
Oh yeah. It's good, man. It's a good show. It really is. And it's funny because I follow Tiger Belly, Bobby Lee's podcast,
Mm.
and he talked about this so long ago,
Right.
and then he was just like, "Yeah, I did this project for Netflix. I don't know when it's coming out." And then it finally comes out.
Mhm.
It's just so funny when you hear them talk about the production side, and then on the back end, you're just
because
waiting.
they do all their lines and stuff. What's her name? Not Tisha Arnold. The woman that played Gina in Martin.
I think you're right, isn't it, Tisha?
Is it Tisha? I thought Tisha Arnold was Pam.
Oh yes, yes. Oh, okay.
Anyway, she's in it
talking
too.
about- Yes, yeah. She plays one
I'm
of the
sorry.
friends.
Gina's in it too from Martin. I'm so bad.
Gina. Hey man, she's forever gonna be Gina to us. It's not an insult.
But she's bigger than that. Like she's done a lot of stuff.
She's
Sure.
bigger than that.
She is, and you're right. But at the end of the day,
Put some respect on her
us.
name.
and we are. You tell someone they're Gina to you. Do you know how important that means they are? Tell me Gina was not the most important thing in Martin's life.
Yes,
He
she
didn't,
was.
he didn't treat her like it.
Tisha Campbell. Give her
There
her
you go.
flowers.
Tisha
Tisha
Campbell.
Campbell.
But all this to say, though, ain't nothing wrong with being called a Gina. That's respect on your name, because being
Mhm.
called a Gina means you're important to somebody. Yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. The geek news and rumors. I don't even have. I had like 2 things written down. They're not even worth mentioning. Because it's.
I'm gonna read this quick.
It's
Who can fuck
Yeah.
one of them and one of them. Wait.
Titan season 4 set some
Brother.
villains, and Halle Berry
Wait,
says
wait,
she
wait,
might
wait,
have
wait,
her
wait.
own
Can
spin-off.
we mention how? Wait, so brother. Okay, I kind of want to go on. Okay, we're going to.
I don't even
the
wanna go
Titans
into
thing.
that.
We're talking to Titans next week.
We don't even have to. It's a crappy show. It's more of the same.
No, but like, do you see who this is? Brother Blood, Mother Man, Jinx.
I'm
What
still
are
waiting
these?
for
What
all
are
the other
these?
shows that are
What are
related to
these?
John Wick to come out. They haven't.
I
been-
know the Continental. Give
The
me the
Con-
Continental before Halle starts talking about her own
The,
spinoff.
the Continental. I think there's supposed to be
But
something.
you know,
about
Halle
the-
would talk about her own spinoff.
True. Her stock is high right now. She deserves to be able to brag about whatever's coming.
Yeah.
After you do Bruised, and everyone's just like, "Shit, girl, you could direct movies like this? Why ain't you been directing all along?" It's like, okay, fine.
Well,
I
you've
guess we'll
been
talk.
crapping on me this whole time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's only when I did John Wick.
I couldn't
3,
be
you're
an
like,
actor
oh,
anymore."
Yeah, you're supposed to be Jinx in the spinoff for James Bond. We forgot. You could totally do.
Yeah.
We completely forgot you could totally do this. Forgot.
So funny. That's true. That would have been the first time they actually spun off something proper too.
Hmm.
Anyways, guys, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. We were supposed to have Akeem come through. Unfortunately, he couldn't, but he sends his regards. The rest of the crew will be back next week. The usual. And I feel like throwing back to my old one. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. Always wear your Jimmy caps, because safe sex is good sex. Especially to you, Nick Cannon, because you out here having babies like there's no tomorrow.
Eighth.
Yeah, this man's trying to repopulate the earth. We already got billions on it.
Congratulations to Riri and Aesop Rocky.
Yes, big
Congratulations.
facts. Congratulations. That was
Some
big
positivity
news.
in the world.
Yes.
I'm a little bit jealous about their photo shoot. That's some really good. It's a really, really good photo. How you can have your bare belly in the wintertime
Thank you. Yeah. Anyways,
with jewelry on it?
yeah,
I'm jealous.
We
I'm
can't
mad
even,
jealous.
We can't even,
That was some
'cause
good
that
stuff.
was my first thought. I was just like, Riri, respect, but as a West Indian, I'll wait. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how are you?
You were gonna do it.
I was gonna do it, but I'm not gonna do it. How are you in the streets of New York in winter with your belly out? But respect to you. You did what you did. You look beautiful. You were
Mad jelly because it
glowing.
looked really good. It looked
ASAP
really cool.
looked so happy. Like this man looked the happiest you've ever seen. And to all the people who are making fun of Drake, y'all are hilarious. I have never seen so many jokes.
Keep it up.
Oh my god,
He's got to learn. He's got to learn.
Gotta
He
learn.
goofed. He goofed hard.
Yo, so funny. Guys, that's the whole show. We had a blast. Make sure you tune in next week, as we always do, 6:30. Geektastic Cypher here on Free X Agents Media, available on all your favorite platforms. Wherever you listen, wherever you enjoy your podcast. We are out, y'all. Peace, peace, peace,
Peace. Take care.
Peace.